You've probably clicked on this video because you don't know what you want in life, and you want to know how to know. What if I told you that it's not that you don't know what you want, but it's rather that you choose not to listen to what you want? You're afraid to try what you want, and you're so afraid to try that you keep pushing down the motivations and goals that you actually internally have. We've all been disappointed. We've all tried to pursue goals that didn't work out. We've all been in relationships that didn't work out. We've all been let down by people or by situations. We've all had greater expectations than the reality could live up to. As humans, we are constantly learning. And if your learning experience has been that no matter what you try, you always seem to fail at it, you always seem to suck at everything you try to pick up and do, then you start to become afraid to even want anything, to even try anything. And I think this is the state that a lot of us are in right now. You are somehow convinced that if you specify what you want, and by that make your goals clear, then try and fail, that you will discover that no matter what you do, you won't succeed. So rather than specifying your goals, rather than picking tasks, picking goals to achieve, you don't do anything at all, because that way you can't fail. But let me tell you this. Not trying is always worse than failing. Because if you're not trying at all, you immediately fail. So you live in a state of ignorance and believing that you don't know what you want, when actually you're in a hamster wheel of life, trying not to want what you want. But that's not possible. You can't not want what you want. So maybe the fact that you're miserable and aimless right now is a symptom of training yourself to not want what you want because you believe that you can't achieve it anyway. How do we know what we want again? How do we remember who we are, where we're meant to go in life? How do we get out of this fog that we trained ourselves to live in? There are cues that you can pick up in order to know what you want and find what you hid in the fog for so long. First of all, the lessons you need to learn are in the tasks you're avoiding to do. I'm sure you've heard this quote before, and it's cheesy. It's a Pinterest quote, but it's the truth. A lot of the times when you feel very uncomfortable around a certain thing, a certain task, a certain person, this is exactly where you have to go. In our head, we paint the picture of that thing so badly because we know that if we would actually go after it, it would maybe show us who we are. So we are avoiding it. So if you're living in a state of ignorance and you're really feeling a strong aversion when it comes to a certain task, let that be your light. Let that be your guiding light. Let that be your orientation. And flip it on its head. You know, your head is trying to make you believe that this thing's bad for you, when actually that thing is what you should be pursuing. That thing that is making you uncomfortable. That job application you don't want to hand in. That person you don't want to talk to. This might just be what you want, disguised as something bad because your brain doesn't want you to want what you want. And when I'm telling you this, you're probably gonna start getting scared because of course you've been avoiding these tasks for so long. You've been living in ignorance for so long that actually picking up those things, trying to look at those things is scary beyond belief. But what always has helped me in this situation is thinking about the alternative. The alternative is staying in this fog. You keep existing in a state of ignoring what you want, and maybe one day you will find out that it wasn't so hard to achieve. Maybe you won't. Maybe you will die not knowing. But if you think about this, it is actually scary, isn't it? You don't want to live in a state of ignorance, but you actively have to go against it in order to change it. This meaning, purpose, goals are not just going to come and find you. You have to go and find them. You have to go into these scary, unknown places that you're afraid of. Things don't become less scary if you don't attend them. In therapy, there's actually exposure therapy, which is used in anxiety patients. They have to be exposed to the thing they're scared of in order to learn that it is not that scary after all. And this is what you have to do when it comes to the things you're avoiding. Do them. expose yourself to them and learn that they are not as bad as your mind painted them to be. The devil you know is always better than the devil you don't know. So you have to actually attend to those things and break the cycle of ignoring what is important to you. There's a scientist, he's called Ken Barrage, and he discovered that actually the human brain has two separate centers for craving and reward. So he basically, it was quite cruel. He depleted rats of dopamine. And dopamine, as you know, is kind of the reward chemical. It's really important when it comes to addiction. Um, it's basically, it makes you want to do things. And he realized that if you completely depleted the rat of dopamine, that the rat didn't want to do anything. The rat didn't want to eat. The rat didn't want to do anything because this is basically the motivation chemical. But when the rat was fed, it could still experience pleasure from the food. So this is very theoretical, and you may wonder, what does that have to do with me? Basically, what he found out is that these circuits are separate. So even if you don't know what you want right now, even if you don't crave a certain thing, you can still gain pleasure from that thing. And also vice versa. Even if you want something, this thing does not necessarily have to cause you pleasure. It doesn't have to be what you like. So so you can want what you don't like and you can not want what you like. So let that be of guide to you when it comes to trying these new things, trying the things that make you uncomfortable. Even though you might not crave doing them, they could still cause you pleasure. And I think it's with a lot of things. For example, going to the gym, you don't crave going to the gym, right? You're not very motivated to go to the gym because it's hard. But if you go, you still gain pleasure from that. And this is what you have to realize. So the ability to feel pleasure is independent from the craving. Okay? So this means that dopamine controls craving, but not pleasure itself. So what I'm trying to tell you is when you actively pursue what makes you uncomfortable, when you go out into the world and really put yourself on the spot, try things you're maybe not good at, try things you're scared of, this is how you're gonna know what you want again. Because the only thing worse than failing is never trying at all. So, what I'm trying to tell you is just try. Try the things that make you uncomfortable because most likely this is where your growth is at. This is where your task is at. You know? Um, try and fail, try and fail, try and succeed, and you're going to know what you want in life again. You're going to wander out of the fog, but you have to take the first step and actually look at the things that you've been hiding for so long. I hope you guys could take something from this video, and I see you guys in the next video. Bye.